You're not going to get away from me that way. I'm chairman of Homeland Security Appropriations. I serve on defense and the defense subcommittee, so we have all the national defense issues with cyber. And now I serve on this wonderful committee, and so cyber is just pounding me from every direction. And every time I hear something pops into my head, because I don't know anything about this stuff. If they can do that to a cell phone, why can't they do that to every computer in the country and nobody can get into it?
The logic.
If that's the case, isn't that a solution to the invaders from around the world that are trying to get in here? And then if that gets to be the wall, and even the law can't penetrate it, then aren't we creating an instrument is the perfect tool for lawlessness? This is a very interesting conundrum that's developing in the law. If they at their own will at Microsoft can put something in a computer, or at Apple can put something in that computer, which is what it is, to where nobody but that owner can open it, then why can't they put it in the big, giant supercomputers that nobody but that owner can open it, and everything gets locked away secretly? And that sounds like a solution to this great cyber attack problem we've got. But in turn, it allows those who would do harm to have a great tool to do harm where law enforcement can't reach it. This is a problem that's got to be solved. And if you're following the Bill of Rights, you have every right to be able to go before a judge, present your probable cause. If he sees that that's right, get a warrant and get into that machine. And I don't think there's a right of privacy issue in the world that prevents you following the law to do that. And so if that's what they've created a monster that will harm law enforcement, national security, and everything else in this country. And this really needs to be addressed. And I wasn't even going to talk about that, but that upsets the heck out of me because I don't think that's right.
Judge, if I could ask you about, and Director Comey, you can pitch in, if you had a case in front of you where you had evidence that there was evidence of a crime in a safe that was locked and only the owner had the combination to the safe, how would you handle that?
If they bring an affidavit in with probable cause, and I find that they've got probable cause, we're going to give them the right to make the search. And if you've made it search proof, then, and you can't, even the guy that created the monster can't get in there. That's bad.
There's no safe like that in the world.
Yeah, you can crack the safe, right? You just get a court order, you go crack the safe.
That's right. But if you can't crack the safe, right, which is what they've created here, that's a real crisis.
The analogy seems valid, doesn't it? It's like a safe that's locked up holding evidence of a crime.
And on our issues of privacy, those issues of privacy are protected by that Bill of Rights.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Mr. Chairman, if I knew we would find wisdom from the judge. The question I would ask, and the distinction I would ask to the chair, to the administrator is this: that you get a court order. The court order would be a court order for hard line. You could get a court order for tapping the line. Under FISA, we can now get a court order to tap into information that's used with a digital phone. Accessing information in a digital phone has what we might want to call our intelligence also. Accessing that would be like accessing a person under oath, any information they may have inside of them. And so we may have to look at the kind of legislation that equates that with our intelligence and trying to access our own privacy. So there will be a sanction if we lie under oath. And if we have a choice now of opening up our own phone, and even the company can't do that, I would just try to make a distinction between.
I didn't yield him my time, but let him talk. He's a nice guy.
Thank you. I'm trying to make a distinction between the kinds of laws that we write or we author in one set of technology. When we're looking at artificial intelligence, and we're looking at another kind of technology where we can make safe our own information, accessing that is going to have another level of thought, like we had to do with accessing and tapping into technology. The safe is still the old technology. I think if you have access to a phone that the individual who bought it can open up, then you can have certain kinds of force of law that would require them to be able to testify.
It's an interesting question. I don't mean to forgive us, Judge. We both.
I just wanted to raise that. Thank you, Judge.
It is a really interesting conversation that Chairman Adderholt started here, and I'm glad to get the judge's wisdom on this.
The other questions I wanted to ask you, last time we were here, you said one of the things you were concerned about is, am I going to be able to get in the workforce the quality of people that I need in this cyber war that we're facing? How are you doing on being able to recruit the intelligent workforce that it takes to go off in this special area of national security and crime? How effective have you been since our last conversation? It's one of the things you expressed the last time you were here, and I wanted to give you a chance to say how effective you've been and what can we do to make you more effective.
Okay. Thanks, Judge. Pretty good, but it's too early for me to give you a high confidence read. I've just been climbing out of my hole from sequestration, so we've been hiring lots and lots of people. So far, so good, and they're staying. Because once you get to do public service, it becomes addictive, even if other companies are throwing a lot of dough at you. So my cyber division attrition rates are very low. Folks are getting in and realizing it's fun to do good for a living. So, but it's early. I don't want to sound. We should talk again in a year when I have a full, say, 2 years of data on my side.
Yeah, and this is not only the issue you've got, but Homeland Security is looking at this issue too. And one of the questions that's come up for us to discuss is what are the opportunities to contract with these people who have these think firms that all they do is this kind of work, and maybe is that something that government can do effectively and safely, protecting government's interests is subcontract some of the work to the great computer wizards of our world. That's something we need to be thinking about. And we're looking at it right now in Homeland Security as whether or not that is a safe and appropriate thing to do to subcontract. So that's something you might think about. Because there's I was in a room full of these smart people yesterday morning for breakfast, and I understood about every fifth word. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.